see. It's been like a sort of month since we've done a podcast. I'm super, super excited. We're less than a week, or no, a little over a week away from the Survivor Season 35 Healers versus Hustlers season premiere. So today we're doing our cast assessment, and my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa, and as y'all may or may not be able to tell, we're back in the clutches of dorm living. So we're in our concrete prisons again, and we're both like slightly upset because I have Wednesday night exams this semester, which means that I'm gonna miss Survivor so that I can watch exams. And I'm like, no, could you maybe not?
No, I have an econ midterm next Wednesday, 7 to 8:30, like right during the Survivor time. So the only logical explanation or like fix for this problem is to skip the midterm, right? So what's more important, the midterm or the Survivor season premiere? And so I think, Alyssa, because we took a super long hiatus within the next week and a half, we really want to do a lot of season 35 videos. So we're doing the cast assessment now, and then I think we'll do like boot lists and like superlatives and other things in the near future before the premiere next Wednesday. I am so fucking excited. Like, I've missed talking about Survivor.
Yeah, so have I, and I feel like there's so much to talk about just because, like, we just have our first impressions to go off of for these guys, whereas, like, last season when it was an all-stars season, it was like we could analyze every single thing, but now we're analyzing every single thing, but in a totally different way.
Yeah, I'm, like, super excited. A brand new cast because last season was all returners, so now we have a brand new, like, 18 brand new people to fucking roast in this video. So I guess we can just get started we'll do an overall cast assessment. Just in general, I think. So for cast assessment, we looked at the Survivor Wiki, the intro Q&A that people did, the videos that are on Survivor on CBS's YouTube, and then the Jeff Probst cast assessment video. So I feel like overall cast assessment, I feel like Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, I can't even remember the freaking Triple H. It really reminds me of Brain, Brawn, Beauty, like that kind of division of tribes, because I feel like Heroes could be like, they seem very brawny. All the people are in like very, very buff, super athletic kind of people. Same with sort of Hustlers, and like Healers, they're all like the cute, pretty people, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things is with Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, that's going to be so hard to say. One of the things is with that, it's so subjective. Like we talked about, I think, when the theme was first announced, we talked about how, like, what constitutes a hero is different for everyone. So I feel like all of these are, like, some of the people I definitely had, like, big question marks about, like, why were you put on this tribe? But I feel like that's, like, we've had question marks like that quite a few times. But I'm interested to see how this works out. But I feel like the cast as a whole, like, I'm not exactly, like, a fan of this entire cast.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like there are like a few, maybe like 3 to 5 people who I'm like, oh wow, like I'm super interested to see how you play. I'm rooting for you. I feel like you could win the game kind of thing. But then everyone else, I'm sort of like, seem very basic. I feel like there are a lot of archetypes in this season. Like, you know, they have like the surfer dude, they have like the buff dude, the police officer kind of archetype, they have like the hot girl. So I don't know, I feel like a lot of the people's names in this season are very basic. Also, we got like Joe, Mike, Ashley, Ben, Lauren, Ryan. Everyone's sort of very basic kind of name, which, I mean, you know, isn't really like a good or bad thing, but it's like an interesting fact. And I feel like there is a nice range of where people are from. That not everyone is from like California, which we've seen in a lot of previous seasons. I feel like everyone is from like the Bay Area or the LA area, but I feel like we have a lot of East Coast people this time, which I think will be interesting because people will be able to like have those connection based on Hometown. And I feel like the overall cast, everyone seems to be like a super thrill seeker, super adventure driven. So I think that'll be super interesting. Everyone was like, oh, like, yeah, I want to play Survivor for like the fun of it, to have the adventure, to have the game. So maybe, you know, producers are looking more into that when they're casting.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting too, just because like I feel like we saw in Millennials versus Gen X like what it's like when there are a lot of people who come to the game to play the game and not just like because they want to. So I'm kind of hoping that the people who are like in it for the adventure are going to like be the hardcore players, because I feel like Survivor is only as much of an adventure as you let it be and as you make it.
Yeah, so I guess we can start with the Heroes tribe, and then we'll go on to Hustlers, and then Healers will round out our group of 18, and then we'll do alphabetical order while we're going through. But I think overall, the Heroes tribe, I feel like everyone seems super competitive. They all have a type A personality. They are all kind of like super just super competitive. Like we have,
and they all say that they don't like whiners, and so I'm kind of like, y'all are all gonna get on each other's nerves, because there's no way that these 6 people who are all like type A and all like super competitive, and like I'm pretty sure most of them are like fairly cocky too, there's no way that they're all gonna be able to like be together. I feel like they're all too similar in personality, which is like like I feel like the Healers and Hustlers have at least more personality diversity.
Yeah, like I feel like Heroes will be good in challenges. You know, they have an NFL player, they have Marine, they have like 2 people who swim. Like they'd be good in the physical aspect, but I feel like we're saying, you know, everyone on this tribe has said like, oh, they hate losing, they love to be competitive. So it's like, how do you deal with like someone who has never lost? Like, how will they deal with losing their first immunity challenge as a team and having to go to tribal council? I think that'll be super interesting to see that kind of dynamic. So I guess we'll start with Alan, who is the NFL player. And I feel like from just looking at him, I didn't really see. He doesn't really look like an NFL player. And he even says it himself in his video. He's like, you probably wouldn't know like who I am if you weren't a huge fan of like the 3-4 teams that he played on during his career.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting because he like recognized that he was in the NFL or something. But he said that he wanted to be in Survivor so that he could win something of his own merit. And I thought that was really interesting because, like, when you're on an NFL team, it's like, it's about the team, and it's not necessarily about, like, oh, what does Alan want? What is Alan going to benefit the most from? It's like, what does the team want? And they have coaches to guide them and all of this stuff. They have trainers and dietitians, and it's like, I think it's really admirable to want to do something by yourself and have it be, like, truly an accomplishment for you.
Yeah, I think that's like super good. I feel like we sort of see that with a lot of pro athletes and stuff that want to like do something for themselves, not a part of the big team. And I feel like Alan talks about his pet peeves in his Q&A thing where he's like, I hate liars and people who feel entitled. And I feel like the lying aspect, hopefully like Alan doesn't blow up on like people who do lie in the game, or like I feel like maybe on the Healers tribe even there might be a lot of people who might be entitled, because I feel like Hustlers, a lot of the people on that tribe seem like they had like worked very hard in their life to get where they're at. So I feel like Alan might have problems with like certain kinds of people over there, but I don't know. I think it's really interesting. Alan seems very smart. He is athletic and he's self-aware. In his video, he was like, I know I have a temper on the football field, but I know how to handle it. And he feels like the lack of food will be his biggest like downfall, I guess, on the Survivor playing field, and he doesn't know how he'll handle that. He mentioned the lack of food aspect a lot. And I feel like he could go super far in the game, and like I'm hoping he does. I like Alan. I feel like he could go far in the game unless people like target him because he's an athlete or recognize him, because I feel like past pro athletes sort of don't really get super far in the game because A, they have money, like they don't need the $1 million, or like B, everyone realizes that like come individual immunity challenges, you don't want to like be versing an NFL player for challenges.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like one of the things I wrote for him was, why are you on Survivor if you don't like liars? Exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, question mark. So I feel like that's definitely going to be a struggle for him. But then also in his bio, he says, the only thing I have in common with people on past seasons of Survivor is there was a winner. And I was just like, damn.
No, I was confused by that English wording. What does that mean? Like,
so basically, he's saying that he's going to win, and that's going to be the only trait he shares with any past Survivor player. So I feel like that was just like a damn moment for me, because I feel like that's kind of some next level cockiness, which is like part of what contributed to me saying like, oh, the Heroes team can be a little cocky.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like Alan, he has drive, he has motivation, he's physical. I think he can be like strategic and mental through playing football. You know, that's a whole lot of hard work and dedication, memorizing like different plays, stuff like that. So I feel like, I don't know, I'm rooting for Alan. I'm hoping he makes it to the merge at least. I feel like I haven't really thought about how far people will go yet, but when we do boot list, I'll definitely sort it out. But I'm hoping Alan is, I don't know. I feel like maybe like right before the merge, like pre-merge or like early merge maybe, because, you know, NFL player, people won't really want to be versing that in a one-on-one setting.
Yeah. I think that it'll also be interesting to see like his strategic chops, because like he said, like he's had coaches and stuff to develop strategies for him. So I'm interested to see if he can like do that aspect on his own.
Yeah, that's another thing with the Heroes tribe. All of these people are like very sort of like they are coaches in their own right, you know, like we have NFL player, lifeguard, Marine, actuary, a firefighter, and an Olympic swimmer. I feel like all of these people know how to do like the very like strict, this is my daily schedule, this is my set, this is what I'm going to do today, this is like my exercise. So not to have that kind of structure and not to have someone sort of like bossing them around or setting their schedule who's going to rise up to that power position and then like be voted out because they're super annoying.
I guess time will tell.
Yeah, so moving on to Ashley. She is a lifeguard. I wrote down that being a lifeguard should be good at swimming challenges. I feel like it'd be interesting, her and Katrina, the Olympic swimmer, you know, if they butt heads over like, maybe I want to do the swimming challenge, and then she's like, nah, like I'm an Olympic swimmer, bitch. Like I'm doing it. But I don't know. I'm like about Ashley. She's like, she can be one of the guys, but then she can also be a lady and charm people's socks off. And then she's like, oh, very female empowerment, which is very good. But then she's like, I won't let the men boss me around. Like I want to be the alpha myself. And I'm like, girl, I don't know. Like I feel like you need to chill sometimes.
Yeah, I said pretty much everything that you said. Like, my overall conclusion of her is that, like, she's just meh. Like, I'm not really rooting for her. I'm not really rooting against her. And I feel like one of the biggest things in her strategy is she was like, oh, I'm totally okay with, like, dropping everything and following my heart or whatever, and how she was, like, talking about how she became a lifeguard, and like she like gave her 2 weeks notice, and then in 2 weeks she was a lifeguard or whatever. And I'm like, if she's that wishy-washy with like her alliances and stuff, I feel like that's not going to be good for her as far as like winning the game, just because we've seen that there are people who can like flip and still do well in the game, but you equally see people who flip-flop being murdered by their like opponents and stuff like that. So I feel like if she's thinking more about the adventure of the game than actually winning the game, that might come back to bite her.
What was it, like white collar, no collar, blue collar, when they were like flippers never win and all of that bull crap? But yeah, I agree. I wrote down that Ashley is very adventure driven. She like does what she wants and she seems very competitive. She wrote that she hates losing, and I feel like this aspect of her might push people the wrong way because I think in her video she mentions like I'm going to be screaming at all of these immunity challenges, stuff like that. And I feel like if you're losing in the immunity challenge, like say it's a puzzle and Ashley's freaking like screaming in your ear over here, like do better, like finish the puzzle faster, I'd be hella annoyed. Like, this girl needs to shut up. Like, we're trying our best here. But I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Ashley's not winning the game, so we don't really need to, I'm like, about her. But I definitely feel like seems like she has sort of an annoying personality. Not
Yeah.
trying to.
We did say this was just going to be us roasting them. So I totally agree with like everything that you said. I don't think that she's winner material.
Yeah. Pre-merge, I'm hoping. I don't really care to see her much on the TV screen. I feel like we have a lot more like compelling players that I'd want to see on screen. And I don't know, Ashley just doesn't seem to be a very interesting like personality type, I guess.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on.
That seems mean. Yeah, so next we have Ben. He is a Marine. For like hobbies that he says he likes to do, he likes circle track, car racing, shooting guns, and camping. And I wrote down that this is a lot. This is like manly man testosterone. I was like, wow, that is a lot.
I said, "Aw, cute little Southern boy," and must be very athletic, just because those were like the two impressions I got like right away from his video. And like reading his bio, he says that he's like Russell Hands, and I'm like, wow, you're so original.
I wrote that down
too. No one has ever said they're like Russell Hands before.
That's like, I was like, F. He says he's conniving and manipulative like Russell, determination and confidence of Boston Rob, and athletic ability of Joe. And I wrote down SMH. This is the three most famous archetypes of Survivor, and you just mush them into one. Like, then that basically means you're going to be the poster child of Survivor if you're Russell Hands, Boston Rob, and Joe Anglim all in one. I was like, this is the most basic answer ever for this question, dude. Like, think outside the box.
He also says that he wants to get along with everyone, and I'm like, literally the nature of Survivor is that you have to pick the person that you don't get along with and send them away. Getting along with everyone is literally not possible.
Now I'm becoming angry, like, talking about this. But, yeah, Ben says in his video he's like a teddy bear and grizzly bear. And he made these, like, cute, funny phrases. I was like, oh, like, that's cute. Like, I don't know. I was about him before seeing this part of his video. And I was like, okay, you seem friendlier now. Like, maybe you could make friends through, like, showing your goofy side of you like this. And I feel like he could be very relatable if he shows his love for his wife and kids, because a lot of the people on his tribe are also older and they also have kids. So when we do like the boot list, I feel like that'll be something interesting because I'm already starting to see like who I think fits in with this tribe and the other tribes as well, and who's doesn't really fit in with like this hero's tribe based on like age or personality or job basically. But I feel like Ben, if he shows that he's relatable and normal, like I feel like he can do well. I'm not really sure about winning, but definitely somewhat decent in the game.
I think he'll be like late pre-merge or early post-merge. Like, I don't think he's going to go super, super deep, but I don't think he's going to be like first boot either.
Yeah, I feel that. Anything else on Ben?
No.
Okay, so next we have Chrissy. She's an actuary, and I'm glad she explained this because I was like, the fuck is an actuary?
No, we've had an actuary on Survivor before. Cece from Millennials versus Gen X was an actuary, and I remember because I explained it to you because my uncle is an actuary.
Wow.
So,
Calculating present value of future risk. I thought that was a pretty interesting job.
That's not actually what they do. They do like stuff with insurance. She just
Damn.
made it
So
sound
it's not that interesting.
yeah. So basically they like look at all of your information about like your insurance stuff and then they calculate how much you should have to pay. So
very mathy. I feel like Chrissy, she mentions how she went to Penn and MIT, Ivy League, and then like a very, very good school. So I feel like she could be sort of cocky about that because I feel like people that go to like super good schools, they're like, I'm smarter than you, like I'm better than you kind of thing because, they went to that kind of higher education that is good. But, I feel like she could be cocky and that might rub people the wrong way on this tribe and in the game in general, because I feel like a lot of the people on this season, one of their biggest accomplishments that they put on their questionnaire was like just going to college because like it has never happened in their family before, or like paying their way through college. And I feel like Chrissy is sort of privileged in the fact that she was able to go to two very good universities. So I feel like, I don't know, on the Heroes tribe, to me, Chrissy is the one person that stands out as not being able to fit in with the rest of the people.
I actually wrote in my notes, how is an actuary a hero?
Oh, like, we're on the same wavelength, Alyssa.
I think that it's really interesting because I like her as a person, and I think that like a lot of what she said about like empowering women in math and like she seems like very much to be a feminist and stuff. And we've talked a lot about feminism in Survivor, and like that is totally my aesthetic. But like I don't know if she'll do well in the game.
Yeah, I wrote that down. I was like, her and Ashley seem very like female strong, female empowerment, so they might get along on that. But then I feel like Ashley's like, I want to go with the guys, and like I really like Chrissy. Like she seems super like peppy and like cute out there. But I feel like she could be the first boot from the Heroes tribe because I just don't see her fitting in with all the big guns. Because actuary, you don't need to be athletic, but like firefighter, Olympic swimmer, Marine, NFL player, lifeguard, those are all like 5 super athletic people. In addition, Chrissy is like on the older end. I think she was like in her mid 40s. And like, I don't know, I feel like and she just won't fit in. But I mean, if she seems super enthusiastic and she seems like she loves the game. So yeah.
I feel like it'll come down to the puzzles for her. Because, like, we've talked a lot about how, like, the heroes are very brawny. But I feel like she's one of the people who would be very good at, like, doing the puzzles for them. And, like, if they decide that, like, strategically they need someone who can do puzzles more than they need, like, another, like, strong person, that could be good. Like, diversity of ability could end up, like, playing in her favor.
True. If Chrissy, like, shows herself on the first immunity challenge, shows like, oh, like I'm good at puzzles, like you need me around because I will do the puzzles and we'll win challenges, like they'll keep her. But I feel like Survivor jinx when you say you're good at puzzles and you step up for the first immunity challenge to do the puzzle, that usually gets you voted out first because that like pressure and the nerves, especially if you step up and you're like, I'm good at puzzles, y'all.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely something to watch out for. But it could just be like because of the nature of her job, people assume that she's good at puzzles. So
yeah. So moving on to JP, not JT. JP is a firefighter. He says he's a romantic in his Q&A. I don't know. I feel like there could be a lot of showmances this season, which I'm sort of like, about. But I don't know. I feel like JP and Ashley, the lifeguard, could sort of have a thing. They seem like they would have a lot in common.
I actually did not write much about JP. Like 2 of the things I wrote were he's JP and then Jeff Probst is JP. And I was like, haha, I'm so funny. And then one of my other notes was that he's just ... eh. Like, he seems pretty humble, but, like, I personally didn't think that, like, a lot of what he said was particularly memorable. Like, I'm trying
Dude,
to
Alyssa,
remember.
we are literally on the same wavelength. My last bullet point, I wrote that JP seemed like a plain Jane, not much substance.
I also wrote, he says in his like bio that he is most like Jay Starrett, and I was like, who is going to be the Adam to his Jay? There is no one who can be his Adam, and I'm really upset because every good Jay needs an Adam.
Yeah, I think like the only thing about JP that is like of note, he really likes his dog a lot, and he has a sick sister, which is like the money for her foundation thing was like a good cause. But I feel like I don't know, JP sort of reminds me of maybe like like Fabio from Nicaragua. And I feel like the whole Fabio thing won't work in a current season because people don't really want to give $1 million to this sort of middleman sort of dude that like is like go with the flow kind of attitude. I feel like, you know, big move kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely like the era that we're in is definitely going to make that sort of strategy difficult. But I'd be interested to see if he could pull it off.
Yeah.
Probably not.
I think that'd be super interesting because everyone's always talking about, oh, you know, like the Survivor evolution of the strategy, stuff like that. So that'd be interesting. But I feel like JP not a winner this season, so we can move on.
So the last person on the Heroes tribe is Katrina Radke. I forget how she pronounces her last name, but her. I actually did like a little bit of biographical like digging on her since she was an Olympic swimmer. So
Oh, me too. I Googled her as well.
wow, we're basically the same person. But like she came in 5th in the 1988 Olympics 200-meter butterfly, which is like solid. I mean, I think there's only 8 people swimming, but still like 5th out of 8 is way better when you're competing against like the top people in the world than like when you're competing against a bunch of other average people. But she actually retired from competitive swimming because of chronic fatigue immune dysfunction syndrome.
Huh.
So I thought that it was kind of an inspiring story because like she had this chronic illness and so she had to retire from swimming, but then she actually came back to competitive swimming for a while, which was really good. And I don't know, I feel like resilience that comes from surviving that sort of thing.
Yeah. 100. I feel like, I don't know. Katrina, Olympic swimmer, she went to UC Berkeley, so I was like, wow, if you guys don't stalk me. But yeah, I don't know. Side note, I met Nathan Adrian the other day on the street. It was amazing. I was like crossing the street, and Nathan Adrian, who's also an Olympic swimmer, was like on the other side of the street, and I was like, holy F, because I swim in high school, so I was like, holy F me, like this is freaking Nathan Adrian across the street. And then I said hi, and we had like a 2-minute conversation. So like, besides that, yeah, I don't know. Katrina seems like interesting. She says that her like Survivor player she's most like is like Denise Stapley, and I really like that choice. I feel like Denise is a very underrated winner that isn't really mentioned a lot. So I like that pick based on like everyone says fucking Boston Rob, Russell, Parvati. So I like how she's bringing back the other winners who won.
I don't think that a single person in this group said that they were like Parvati.
Yeah, that's good after like 6
happiness
like 2 seasons ago. Yeah. But yeah, Olympian, you have to be dedicated. My like one concern about Katrina is that like she seems super intense. She also married to a swim coach. So I feel like, you know, having that kind of atmosphere, same with like the NFL player. I'm just like concerned that they'll be sort of like very, very type A and super bossy, which is not something that you want on like your first 3 days out on the island.
Yeah, I think if she can get past that original like first 3 days, then she could do really well. And I don't know, I just personally think that she seems pretty cool. I would not say that she's my winner pick, but like of all the people on the Heroes tribe, I hope that she goes far.
Wow, that's super interesting. The comments on like Katrina's video on YouTube, everyone was like, LOL, I didn't know Zach and Cody's mom was on Survivor. I was like, oh my gosh. That's sort of funny though.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. So I guess that rounds out our heroes tribe. It only took us like about them, so that's pretty good. We'll go to the Hustlers tribe, and we'll start with Allie, who is a celebrity assistant for Glozell, who is a YouTuber. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like super cool. You know, I feel like Alyssa and I are in like the generation where like we watched YouTube and stuff like that. And I don't know, Allie is super gorgeous. I feel like she's like the prettiest girl this season.
I would like to respectfully disagree, but my main problem with Allie is that she says that, like, one of her 3 items that she'd bring with her to the island is tampons, and I'm like, girl, they give you those, you don't need to bring them. And I feel like that either shows that she just doesn't think, or she like didn't look it up. It's like not hard to find out like what they do when they're on their period on Survivor. Like, come on.
Damn, we're opposite. I wrote down like that she wrote down tampons. They never bring up periods on Survivor, and I was like, same girl. Like, we never hear about that part. But yeah, I guess we're opposite now.
I mean, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like cool that you're bringing up periods, but like you don't need to use that as one of your items you'd bring with you to the island. Like, use your goddamn head. Don't bring stuff they're already gonna give you. That's like saying you would bring a machete. They give you that.
Shoot. Yeah, I don't know. I think Allie said she's like Andrea, and I feel like that's really interesting. I feel like Andrea, because she just played recently again, is being brought up more. I think she was brought up twice. In these people's like which Survivor player you most like. So I was like, that's interesting. And she says she wants to play the game even ground and like not be too forward, but be respected, which is like good, I guess, like to lay low at the beginning, but then I feel like you do need to come forward and like make those moves later on in the game, or like, you know, to like build your resume, which is also sort of cliche to say, and I'm like not a very huge fan of like building the resume on Survivor, but like I feel like that's what you gotta do.
We talk about it all the time on this show though. Like, I feel like it's such a fundamental part of Survivor now because like no one's just gonna hand you $1 million. So
yeah, and I also feel like that'd be an interesting podcast to talk about building your resume and Survivor and how that like equates to like building your resume in real life for college apps and the like. I don't know. I feel like Allie can make it sort of far, maybe like top 5 or 6 because she is like an attractive female. And like I think she can use that to her advantage with the people on the tribe. And I feel like Allie, as a celebrity assistant, she probably has to like take shit a lot and be bossed around a lot, and she knows how to like do it with a smile, basically, even if she's like not happy.
yeah, I feel like at the end of Allie's video, I wasn't really sure that I had like gotten to know her any more than I had at the start, because like she seemed to talk a lot about her job and not really a lot about herself that I could like pick out, at least beyond just like basic stuff. So
Yeah, so moving on from Allie, we have Devin. And I feel like Devin could get the last name treatment because Pinto is his last name. I feel like that'd be super cool. He's a surf instructor, and I feel like he is very surfy, very beachy, very LA, like Cowabunga dudes, and he is basically the epitome of the Ozzy and Malcolm archetype, which I am like, about.
I actually thought he was more like Joe than Malcolm or Ozzy, just like his behavior. Like, I feel like both Malcolm and Ozzy were a little too like uptight at times, whereas like Joe was always so like chill, bro.
I feel like he's also like a Taylor, maybe. I feel like Cole on Healers reminds me of Taylor from Millennials versus Gen X. But I feel like hopefully they're smarter than Taylor, but I don't know. I feel like Devin seems smart because in his thing, he's like, I will have everyone's vote at the end because they will all love me so much. And I'm like, I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like a very naive thing to say. Like, everyone will vote for me to win the $1 million because they love me. Not because I played a good game or not because I made big moves, but because they love me. I'm like, dude.
He like totally acts like the epitome of a surfer dude. And like the one time I stopped seeing that a little was when he was talking about like what he'd do with the $1 million. And I thought it was really interesting because like other people had answers about like how much it could help them or their family. And then he was like, oh, I want to use the money so I can like start a program to help underprivileged kids. And I was like, those are not the words I expected to hear come out of your mouth. But I'm like really pleasantly surprised by those words.
Yeah. I feel like Devin and JP could be friends maybe, and maybe throw in Cole in there as like the wilderness therapy guide. I feel like they all seem very like laid back, chill, kind of like go with the flow kind of dudes. Devin seems super calm and chill. I feel like he's first member of the jury worthy. Also seems like a Fabio kind of type, which I'm like, there's like 3 or 4 this season already. How is that going to work? I really want to see some big players this season, but it seems like we're having a lot of duds right now.
I think that maybe it'll be one of those things that surprises us. We're like, I don't think that either of us pegged for Millennials versus Gen X that David was going to be a big player, but here we go.
Dude, I guessed it. I was like, he's going far. If he makes it through like the first 3 votes, he'll make it far. That's like, I feel like Ryan this season. He's like the super skinny dude like Cochran or David or like that archetype that if they make it past the first few votes, they'll make it far.
Yeah. I guess I'm more interested to see like how he interacts with other people. So
yeah.
We'll see.
So Lauren, she's a fisherman. I feel like as a fisherman, like 3rd generation, they said or something, she probably doesn't have to work with a lot of people in this job. She's from a super small town, so her social skills, I'm not really sure, especially because she's very hard-headed, she's stubborn, and organization is one of her pet peeves. And I don't know how she'll fit in with this very young tribe because she's with like 5 super young people, like mid-20s to 30s range, and she's like no, she's just like older, and like, you know, her job isn't the same as everyone else, and she just like seems like she won't fit in with the tribe.
The one note that I wrote was put her on the deadliest catch, not survivor. So I mean, I guess I agree with like a lot of what you said about her like being very stubborn and hard-headed and stuff. Like, I feel like in order to be stubborn and survivor, you need kind of like the social graces to like soften it and make it seem like you're being stubborn for a good reason. And also, like, it's hard to be organized on like a desert island. So
yeah, I feel like for me, like if I went on Survivor, I'm like would have to go very like go in with it with like, don't be annoyed, like you have to go with the flow. Like if your tribe wants to do one thing, don't go against your tribe, even if you like really want to or are very adamant about something else. And I feel like this is a problem that Lauren might run into because she seems hard-headed and stubborn. She might be like, no, like we're doing this, we're doing that. I don't know. Seems like a shambo.
I could get behind that description. Yeah.
What?
I said I can get behind that description. Yeah.
Interesting. Very good, I guess. But yeah, I think not. I only wrote 4 things down for her. I think she'll be voted out pre-merge, basically.
Yeah. I can't see her going far.
Yeah.
So next on the list is Patrick. right? And so
Yes.
like Patrick, I'm like reading his bio and I'm like, oh, okay, he seems cool. And then I watch his video and I literally had to pause it after he started talking because I was like, he has an accent? What? He doesn't look like he belongs with an accent, and it was so weird. And like honestly, I could not pay attention to most of the strategy of the video because I was so blown away by the fact he had an accent.
Is it a Southern accent? I didn't notice an accent.
How did you not notice? It's not like a deeply Southern accent, but it's like, yeah, an accent. Rewatch the video.
Okay, after this, I wrote down he's a small business owner and he's from Alabama. And I think him and Allie, who's also on Hustlers, will relate and align because Allie went to college at Bama, Roll Tide, and Patrick is from Alabama. I think and they're both attractive people. I feel like they would get along.
That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that connection. And I feel like Patrick, the business aspect of his life will be good for the game unless he's like super snaky, which is like a stereotype of businessmen. But I think Patrick, he's like super attractive, you know, the red hair. He's always wanting to make money and he seems personable. So I feel like if Patrick doesn't F himself over, I could see far in the game, maybe top 3, depending. No?
So one thing is, he seems like one of the only people in the Hustlers tribe who's like actually a hustler, as opposed to like not a hustler. But then also he said that he's not going to trust anyone in the game. And I wrote down that in Survivor, not trusting anyone is almost as dangerous as trusting everyone. Because like when you get so paranoid that you don't trust anything that anyone says, that's when people want to vote you out. And like when you don't have any allies, it takes a bigger emotional toll on you, I feel like. And I just
Yeah, I feel like Patrick definitely does have that like business owner, like cocky vibe, I guess, like a hustler. And I feel like Patrick also has a very punchable face.
I would punch him.
I just thought of it now, but I don't know. He seems very punchable. Like, this is we're so mean, Alyssa.
I also think that he's gonna get burnt real bad because, like, even in his video, you could see that he was already burning. Yeah, and I was like, honey, more sunscreen.
My dude is gonna be the same color as his hair.
Yeah. So we have very differing opinions on Patrick, but next on the list is Ryan. And Ryan seems very problematic to me. Like one of the things that he put under dislikes was that he dislikes political correctness. And I was like, he just seemed kind of like a douche. Like, when he was talking, I was like, okay, I don't really like listening to you, and I don't really agree with anything that you're saying, but okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, so Ryan is a bellhop. And he interned at Congress, so I feel like he's just using like the bellhop thing as like, oh, that's my claim to fame on Survivor. I'm the quirky, like skinny dude that is the bellhop, and I'm going to wear a turtleneck on Survivor, even though it's like 95 degrees outside, kind of thing. And I feel like that's like what he's going to be known for, and I feel like that's like what he's trying to get at while being on Survivor is like, I'm trying to become famous. I'm trying to become like as well known as Cochran to be invited back for like stupid things with Debbie on boats. But I don't know. He says Eli Manning is his inspiration. And I like, I was like, I don't know. I feel like he's trying to be too funny than he actually is. Like he's trying too hard.
The only thing that he said that I could get behind was he said, I'm average enough in all of the qualities. And that to me was just like hashtag relatable. I'm really average too, guys.
Yeah. Like, Yeah, he's like, I'm average, so I'll fly under the radar, and I feel like he will be likable because he seems like funny, quirky dude, but he does seem very schemy, slimy also, and I feel like, I don't know, he is like, he says he is going to be like Todd on Survivor, and I was like, okay, I can see my Todd, like, kind of player-esque, but I also feel like he reminds me of like a David or a Cochran, and I'm not sure if those kind of like archetypes are becoming too like washed up, I guess, now in Survivor, where people are more like realizing that, you know, the skinny dudes that, you know, might not be the best in challenges are super smart and they can win the game kind of thing, rather than like writing off the super skinny dude as someone that could never win the game. So
I don't know.
I feel like he'll win the game, but I feel like he'll become famous from this season and he'll probably be invited back because he seems out there.
Well, to me, I feel like he's gonna try so hard to be famous that it's actually gonna like shoot him in the foot, and like he's gonna end up going home pretty early. So
That would be a good thing too, I guess.
I mean,
feel
that's
like
what I hope happened with Debbie, but we all saw where that got.
Yeah, and freaking Debbie got invited back and like triggered.
Anyways, on to someone I don't hate as much, Simone.
Yes, the only Asian American on this season. She's a diversity advocate, and I feel like with Simone, how Chrissy said she got into like Penn and MIT. Simone, in her like claim to fame part in her Q&A, she's like, I got full rides to Columbia, Harvard, and Tufts. So I'm like, this girl is gonna probably like think she's smarter than everyone maybe, and like sort of braggery, and I don't know. Her video was sort of like, I was like, uh-oh. It was very red flag for me.
Yeah, to me, like, everything that she said seemed like it could be good on paper, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, there were two things she said, and I just wrote the quotes and same. And so the first one she said was, I enjoy judging everyone. And then, you smile until you kill them. And I was like, same. I feel that on a spiritual level. But, like, she said that her, like, strategy was, like, I wasn't really sure because she didn't explain it very well. Like, from what I got out of it was that she was gonna, like, gaslight people, basically.
What's
and
gaslighting? Could you explain?
So gaslighting is, like, this psychological technique where basically, like, you make someone doubt their own sanity. And, like, she seemed to be doing it, like, with relationships between people where she was going to be like, oh, so-and-so isn't that bad. And, like, slowly, like, shape people into what she wants them to think. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a very sustainable strategy or one that will actually work. I don't know. I
feel like I agree with you. Like, on paper, it's like, yeah, maybe, like, cool for Survivor. But when she was talking, I was like, this girl, she seems like she could be sort of annoying in real life. She says she likes constructive confrontation. And I'm like, one, okay, that's a big uh-oh. On Survivor, I feel like to confront someone and then be like, oh, I just want to have a constructed confrontation talk. Like, this is what's annoying me. This is what's bothering me. Now let's try to fix it. It's going to sort of push people the wrong way. She thinks she's smart and hot. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I would want to root for someone who's sort of humble in both their like smart abilities and their attractive abilities. I don't want someone that's super like, oh, you know, I'm hot shit. I'm the smartest person out here kind of thing. And I think it'll be interesting, like you said, she wants to be the swing vote a lot, but she also wants to like not let people know that she's the swing vote. She wants to hide things and like poison the water. And then she also says she wants to be like Ty and Michaela, which I'm like, SMH.
I just, like, I want to like her, but I can't.
Yeah. I feel like Lauren and Simone are probably the two people to be voted out first of Hustler's tribe. because Lauren just doesn't seem like she fits in, and Simone seems sort of annoying, which is like bad to say, but like I feel like that's how it's gonna go.
That's what the purpose of this video is. Anyways, last we have the healers, and I'm trying to figure out which one of them comes first. Okay, Cole.
Yeah.
Wilderness Therapy Guide. I was like, I've never heard of that before, but it seems pretty cool. I don't know, he just seems kind of rugged, but he also kind of reminds me of Ozzy in the fact that, like, he focuses very much on, like, the survival aspect of the game, and it's like, even though it's called Survivor, it's not really about surviving anymore.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I didn't make that connection, but now I'm seeing it when you just said it. Cole's like a super outdoorsy dude, loves rock climbing, mountaineering. This would be good for like the surviving aspect. And he lives out of his car, which I'm like, that'd be good for the game, but like, what are you doing with your life? And he's like, oh, if I won the million, I would want to buy a big van. And I was
Vans
like,
are not gas mileage. Don't do it, dude.
yeah. I was like, would we give you $1 million so you could buy a big van so you can live out of it? That's like, and I don't know. He says he's like Spencer, like says he comes off as a little awkward, but is going to be dominant in challenges. And I don't really see that. I see him more as like a Taylor or an Ozzy, because I feel like Spencer Bledsoe definitely had that like growing into his own shoe story, like the awkward, like skinny, nerdy, smart kid growing into someone who is dominant in challenges, who does make big moves. And I don't see Cole being that.
Yeah, I agree. Like, he seems pretty chill, but he doesn't seem like a good player.
Yeah, I say first jury member also. Same with whatever is Devin. I feel like they would.
Ponderosa.
Yeah. So, moving on, we have Desi, also super, super pretty. She was a beauty pageant girl and is now a physical therapist. She had long ass answers on her online questionnaire, and I feel like she's going to be the flirt of the season, which I'm sort of like meh about. And I feel like as a beauty pageant girl, I'm interested to see how well she'll do in the surviving aspect, like in the outdoors.
I realized that I didn't actually say that much about Desi, so I'm just going to read you my notes because they're very uninformative. I said, she's so pretty. Yes, be like Tasha. Smiley face, smiley face. I like her in all caps. And then seems pretty self-aware. So I realized my notes did not have much substance, but yeah, I like her.
I feel like she can make it to the jury. I don't see her winning the game.
I feel like she could be kind of like Figgy if Figgy like had never met Taylor.
True.
You feel?
Yeah, I could see that aspect because Figgy was smart, but then I feel like Desi's going to be the flirt. She just comes off as like someone that is going to use her looks, especially because she's pretty from beauty pageanting. I feel like, and she has like, no, only Cole is like super attractive male on her tribe, but like the other males on the season, if she makes it far enough, I feel like she could be like the girl that is with like all the guys.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think that there is a way to play that to your advantage, but I guess, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like Mike and Joe are too old for her, so it's a nay.
Yeah.
On, we have Jessica, who's a nurse practitioner. Jessica's super pretty also. She also said she wants to be like Andrea. I thought this was interesting how this came up twice now on these questionnaires. And she's also a gym rat, which is also, I thought was super cool because she doesn't really like look like, I guess, like super gym ratty. But yeah, I think Jessica seems like super enthusiastic about the game. She's like, oh, I want everything to happen. Storms, excitements, blindsides. And I'm like, same though. Like, I want to see everything happen.
I feel like one of the things that she said that I laughed at is that she was like gonna cry a lot, and I was like,
I wrote that down.
I'm mildly uncomfortable when people cry on Survivor, but it's also one of my favorite things. So like, but like she also mentions Jesus, and I'm like slightly afraid that she's gonna be like an overzealous religious person. But I think we also talked about that being a fear for us in millennials versus Gen X, and it like never came up. So.
Yeah, I feel like the crying often thing I wrote like So I feel like as long as Jessica keeps her emotions in check, I feel like um Jury, I don't know if she'll win the game, but I feel like if she actually like she says she wants to see blind sides and stuff happening, and if she is the one creating those blind sides, like maybe win, but I feel like Jury.
Solid.
Yeah. So, moving on to Joe, I really, really like Joe. He's a probation officer for high-risk offenders. Probably the person that I'm thinking is like the most likely to win the game.
That's funny because I said that he was a bargain brand Tony, and I meant it as an insult, but like Tony won the game, so like I guess that's still a compliment.
True, because in his questionnaire, he said he wants to play like a mixture of Tony, Mike, and Jeremy. And I was like, I like these choices. I can see it. He's sort of like Jeremy and Tony 2.0. Like as a probation officer, it's sort of like a cop, I feel like. And he says he learned how to swim for Survivor, so it shows he like prepared for this game. And he's a funny dude. In his video, he was like, I like took swimming lessons and basically I'm Michael Phelps now. And I was like, that's sort of funny. Like if he says that kind of stuff on Survivor, I feel like he seems like a personable, fun dude.
One of the things that I noticed was that he doesn't seem really interested in like the television aspect of it. Like when they were asking him his basic bio information, he kind of just rattled it off, and he wasn't like really like trying to be like super flamboyant about it. And like I feel like that's simultaneously good and bad, because like the players who are playing the game like for the game and not for the television is good, but also like we're watching it on television, so like do stuff that makes good TV. But I also like the idea of people playing the game the way they want to play it, and not just because it would make good TV.
Yeah, I also feel like it's like people sort of don't really show their strategy and stuff for the cameras, because then the cameras are able and like producers are able to sort of like create the storyline that they want. And once they know like your strategy, they can sort of like ask those guiding questions, and Jeff Probst at Tribal Council can sort of do that. So if you just keep everything private and you don't play for the cameras, I feel like it is sort of helpful in a gameplay aspect if you just want to win the $1 million. But then for TV, it's like less good. And I feel like that's why some of the winners who did that sort of like, I'm going to hide myself for the camera, and they won the game, people are like, they didn't deserve the win, stuff like that. But like behind the scenes, like they did deserve the win. But yeah, Joe works with a lot of different kinds of people in his job, good for manipulation, and I think he says his like strength and his weakness is the inability to trust. So I feel like that'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah, like I said, trusting no one can be just as dangerous as trusting everyone. So
Yeah, final two people, we have Mike, who is a urologist. And good thing they talked about it, because I was like, urologist sounds like it has to do something with pee, but it's sexual dysfunction. And I don't know, Denise question mark. And he says he wants to play like Boston Rob, basic AF. He reminds me of the like dude that got voted off the Brains tribe in the first Brain Brawn Beauty, like the head coach of
player?
the team or whatever.
No, I thought you were talking about the poker player. I don't know. He reminded me of David, but like bad David.
Yeah, like a knockoff, like secondhand version that won't get super far in the game, David.
Like he doesn't have any of David's redeeming qualities. Like David was at least somewhat charming. He just seems kind of like a dope. And also, he said this thing that really annoyed me, where he was like talking about how he's the oldest, so therefore he's seen the most Survivor. And I'm like, honey, there's this thing called the internet, or like DVR, or like Hulu. I don't know what you want to do, but like just because you're not 40 some odd does not mean that you have not seen every episode of Survivor.
That's what I was like. I was like, watch like the episode later, or like even if you weren't born when Survivor came out, you can go and like rent the DVD and watch seasons 1 through 5. Like, I don't know, SMH. And he like is obsessed with Survivor. They named their second kid after Ethan Zahn of Survivor, and I was like, LOL, same dough. And like they basically stalked Ethan when they all lived in New York at the same time, which was sort of weird, but I don't know. I don't see Mike getting far. Like we said, I feel like he'll be like the David that doesn't make it far and is voted out within the first 3 votes if his tribe goes to tribal.
The only thing I like about him is his last name.
What is it?
Zalhaski.
Weird last name for a weird dude.
Yep. But yeah, I will be happy when he's gone.
Big GG. So, rounding it out, we have Rourke, also a weird name. She's a social worker. She seems sort of weird, too. She says Beyonce's daughter is her biggest inspiration in life. And I'm like, that's sort of weird.
I think it was meant to be, like, funny. Like, personally, I think that it was, like, all of her answers were really funny because she said, like, if Courtney Yates and someone else had a love child, then she would be that child. And I was like, actually same, but not actually. I don't know. I think that, like,
I don't know. It could be like Michelle and
Harry Potter is my inspiration, and it never comes out.
It could be that like that, but I feel like Michelle has this sort of like cute, like, ha ha ha, I love Harry Potter. Rourke seems just sort of like, I don't know, she reminds me of like the one girl in that season that was like a chicken farmer, and then she was like, my brother said I'd be the first one voted out on Survivor, and then she was the first one voted out on Survivor. Like, that's who Rourke reminds me of. She just seems so weird.
I don't know, Rourke's sense of humor, like, I can dig it, but I'm not sure whether or not it's like the same on paper as it is like in real life, because I feel like sometimes when applying for this sort of thing, you might like overstate your sense of humor.
Yeah, and like on paper it comes off one way, because I'd be like, LOL, like, blah, so-and-so is my inspiration in life. But then in real life, if you say it, people are like, you're weird.
I feel like the question, who is your inspiration in life, should never be asked face to face, ever.
But yeah, I don't know. Rourke says like she's a leader and she's bossy and she likes correcting people, which I'm like, that's sort of a problem. But I don't know. I feel like if Rourke is chill in the game, she can make it maybe. But I feel like she's definitely a pre-merge boot, becoming like the next Survivor it girl.
Yeah, I said that like I like her sense of humor, and that could just be because like maybe I'm crazy and find her funny when like she's not actually funny. But I don't think she'll actually do well in the game. But like even if she does nothing else, she added a new word to some people's vocabulary, and that vocab word is insidious. Get your SAT prep books, kids, because that's a good word.
Yeah, she doesn't seem very outdoorsy to me. So I guess we'll see. But that rounds out our 18 players. It's 7:45 West Coast, so 10:45 and East Coast time for Alyssa. So we'll round it out really quickly. Like we said at the beginning of the podcast, we definitely want to do multiple videos this week. So if you have any suggestions, leave a comment down below of what you want to see. We definitely want to do like a bootless video, like predicting the winners, first boot, stuff like that. So if you have anything else you want to see, but otherwise, I'm super, super, super excited for Survivor. Cannot contain myself.
I am also super, super, super excited, but also super, super, super tired. So
time to do work. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, though.
So, both of
Anyways.
us, yeah, we're super glad to be back. I am very excited to be podcasting regularly again. So definitely subscribe if you want to see our weekly videos and our weekly recaps and reactions to the Survivor episodes. And we'll see you guys, I guess, in a few days for the bootless video.
Bye.